Put your gloves on and get ready to rumble. We're gonna have a battle in the studio today. Resincrete versus Plaster of Paris. Hello my fellow creatives. I did a few videos previously using J-Diction's Resincrete. It's a non-toxic eco resin. It's a powder medium that you pour and cast with. It's not sticky, it's not smelly, it's such a breath of fresh air to use as a pouring medium in the studio. And so many of you commented and even tried it out yourselves, and together we all fell in love with this magical, beautiful, new pouring medium. However, I also received many comments in regards to, isn't Resincrete just the same thing as Plaster of Paris? Or what's the difference? So today we're gonna clear the air, we're gonna settle this debate, and we're gonna answer your questions, because I just took it upon myself to get some Plaster of Paris, and we're gonna do a side-by-side comparison of the two and figure it out together. I wanted this to be very equal comparatively, so I bought a couple of the same kinds of molds. I bought 2 daisy molds and 2 little bunny molds. I also have my bird molds that you've seen me use before out of Resincrete. Oh, and I've got to show you, I finally got myself a leveling board. This one is by J-Diction also, the same people that make the Resincrete. It's an extra large board. It's so easy. I love it. Comes with a wrench, comes with a leveling bubble in the middle, and the feet are adjustable. And now I don't have to try to level my entire craft table. I can just work on this board and know that my projects are level and my fluid art won't run all over the place. You'll also need a measuring scale. This is just a small kitchen scale and it has different units of measurement. That works great for fluid art. Some mixing cups, some mixing sticks, and after receiving your advice, I also picked up a set of 4 whisks, silicone whisks, so that they can easily be cleaned off when I'm mixing my eco resin. I'm definitely not sponsored by any of these products. However, I do have affiliate links with some of them, and J-Diction has given my viewers a 10% off discount code if you go to their website and purchase their products. Both of these products you just mix with water, but the ratios are different. With Resincrete, it's a 10:3 ratio. On the back of the bag, they have the steps to prepare it, what you do about adding pigments, your mixing ratios, their warning label, basically don't eat the powder and use in normal temperatures, store it in a cool, dry place. And then you've got your Plaster of Paris. I didn't realize they made so many different kinds of Plaster of Paris, so I just went with the DAP brand, and it also has about the same set time, cure time as Resincrete, so I thought it would be a pretty good comparison. A big difference is they have huge warning labels on it. It says it will cause injuries to your eyes, causing burns to your skin, respiratory irritation. So I'll definitely be getting out my respirator, my gloves, and probably turning on my air purifier to work with this. Now, my experience working with Resincrete is I still prefer to use gloves just because I like to keep my hands clean. I would recommend wearing a mask if you're worried about inhaling the powder, because you never know how you'll react to anything. And although Resincrete is stated to be non-toxic, I'm super sensitive, so I don't take any chances. And I'm going to go for about 300 grams of Resincrete. To 90 grams of water. And you'll notice I'm off a smidgen here and there, and it's never affected the results when I've used this. You've got some room to work with there. Gonna give it a good whisk with my brand new silicone whisks. I still end up using my popsicle sticks or my big tongue depressor sticks to finish trying to get out most of those lumps and clumps. And this is the consistency you get with Resincrete. It's really nice and thin. It pours into all the nooks and crannies of your mold really well. You can see that it's stark white. I'm not adding any pigments to either of these in this experiment today. We're just going to stick with the basics. Then don't forget to give it a little wiggle and jiggle to help release any trapped air bubbles. And now let's move on to that bunny. This is a lot thicker, heavier duty mold. And I have not used either of these molds ever before, so this is my first time pouring both of these into these molds. Same thing with the bunny, give it a little wiggle and jiggle to try to help release the bubbles. And now we're gonna pour my bird mold. It's a lot thinner mold, but it's made some really cute porcelain-like birds. So you've got about 8 minutes working time before this starts to set and become hard to work with, because remember, it cures in like 30 minutes. Release those bubbles, and with my leftover, I'm just gonna fill in some little pendant pieces. So those are already starting to cure. I'm going to set them aside and start mixing this plaster of Paris. Now, I don't think I've used plaster of Paris since I was maybe a little kid when we did the handprint thing. I don't even know if that was what it was for sure, but I have not worked with plaster of Paris forever, and I really don't have any recollection of what it's like. So we're going to be learning together whether this is the same. You can see right away that the powder is chunkier. It's not as fine. It's like taking sifted powder versus not sifted powder, basically, when I pour it. The ratio on plaster of Paris, well, this plaster of Paris anyway, is 2:1. So I'm going to do about 100 grams of powder to 50 grams of water. And as I'm stirring this up, you can definitely tell this is a thicker medium. It's definitely not going to pour into my molds. I'm going to have to kind of smush it into there. So at this point, I'm already not a huge fan because I like the ease of pouring. I can already tell that because I have to push it in, I'm at risk for more imperfections and bubbles. It's a lot thicker. But I go ahead and I trudge on so that we can get this experiment done with and see what the end result looks like. I push it and smush it into my molds. I try to jiggle it and wiggle it a little bit. You can see it doesn't settle quite as well, and there are bubble areas that come up that are not going to disperse very easily. I decided I am not going to try to get plaster of Paris in my bird mold. At this point, I kind of know what I'm working with, and we're just not going to deal with that mess. That's what I've decided. They both cured about the same. I would say that the plaster of Paris cured quicker. You could demold them pretty quickly, but I went ahead and let them both cool down completely and dry completely so that they both have a fighting chance. So starting with our sunflower, you can see it comes out crisp, white. All of the little details are there. I'm not seeing any bubbles, and it's just really pretty. This would be really fun to paint. I might save this for my grandkids and they can paint these. And now let's demold the one with plaster of Paris. You can see the back's not as smooth because, of course, it didn't settle and smooth out as easily when I was pouring it. And you can see that there are bubbles. There's quite a few imperfections. I thought that I pushed it down in the mold good enough, but if you look close, you can see a lot of the ends of the petals are missing the plaster. So it's definitely not as easy to get in the nooks and crannies of your mold. So let's unveil the bunnies and see what these look like. First is the Resincrete. Of course, it's white, no pigment has been added. It looks pretty flawless. I'm not really seeing any spots where bubbles occurred. And yeah, it's really cute, ready for some paint. Boop! Now let's demold the Plaster of Paris bunny. Again, you can see the colors difference. It's definitely not white, but that doesn't necessarily matter. Although I do love pouring my eco resin and just doing white things sometimes for aesthetics, and I don't have to worry about any pigments. You can see that the bunny has actual little eyeballs going on. That is an accident. That's where a bubble occurred. Part of the ear is missing, and some of the detail on the back's missing, and there's a lot more sanding and clean up to do around the bottom because it's just not an easy level and pour kind of a medium. I decided after doing the daisies and the bunnies and the hearts, there was no way I was going to try to smush Plaster of Paris into my bird mold. However, here is what the eco resin, the Resincrete, looked like after I poured my mold and it cured. You can see it's like flawless. It's smooth, it feels like cool porcelain, and it's just beautiful as is. You could decorate it, you could paint it, you could decoupage it like I've done in previous videos, or you could just leave it white. They're really cute and classic. And I was curious to see if Plaster of Paris would turn out smooth in a smooth mold though. So you can see the heart. The heart is smooth because the mold was smooth. However, there are bubbles and there's a lot more cleanup to do compared to the Resincrete. So now I want to weigh them for you so that you can see there is a weight difference. Which one do you think is going to be heavier and which one do you think is going to be lighter? The results were kind of surprising to me, actually. You can clearly see after weighing both the daisy and the bunny that the Resincrete was much heavier, much denser, which means much more durable. I don't know about you, but I really love the convenience, the ease, and the pure joy of pouring Resincrete. So that's just my opinion. Everyone, I'm sure, will have their own, but I wanted to just do this video for you, show you the difference, and I could learn for myself. And I hope at the very least this video has inspired you to get out there and create something too. Have a great day, everyone.